Ladies and gentlemen, Gene DiNapoli.
Wow, that was something, Gene.
Mark, that was incredible. I can't believe I did all the work myself.
I thought we were going to see the aliens come out of the craft after that.
Listen, sometimes the introduction is
Good night, everybody.
Well, welcome everybody to the first official episode of Reminiscing with Gene DiNapoli. We did something last week, which was called Straight Talk. But after I gave my views on some political and educational topics, I got told to keep my goddamn mouth shut and just deal with entertainment. So we decided to call this Reminiscing with Gene DiNapoli. This is my producer, Mike Dorito. Mike, say hello to my fans.
Hello, everybody. Everybody, welcome out there who's watching. Hello to Dom, Ralph, Craig, and Paul. And, of course, Gene. And we're going to answer your comments. So I'm going to be popping comments up onto the screen, Gene, as they come in.
Okay, so what we're going to do right now, Mike, is we're going to talk about the first episode, which deals with my first acting job that I went out for as an actor. I did many roles as Elvis, but I never did anything as trying to be an actor. And after 2 auditions, I wound up getting a part as John Gotti's best friend Angelo in a TV show that was filmed right down the street in Bogota, South America. So I figured it would be as good as the topic of anything to start our Reminiscing with Gene DiNapoli shows with. So, Mike, if you don't mind, run that clip from Kingpin, the John Gotti story.
Okay, Gene, just real quick, while we play this clip, just go into your mic settings, lower your mic a little bit. I think you're a little too loud.
I don't know how to lower my mic. That's the problem.
Okay, here comes the clip. It's Kingpin.
In the Italian mafia, survival depends on a code. Loyalty to the family. No cooperating with the law. Keep your eyes open and your mouth shut. Violate the code, and you pay with your life. Mafia tradition dictates that the underboss is next in line, making the heir apparent Neil Della Croce. Just released from prison after serving a 5-year sentence for tax evasion, Della Croce is prepared to take control of the family. But Carlo Gambino's plan of succession bypasses his loyal lieutenant, and instead crowns a white-collar capo as the new boss. His name is Paul Castellano.
The difference between Paul Castellano and Neil Della Croce is Paul Castellano was a racketeer, and Neil Della Croce was a gangster. And on the streets, there's a difference between those two.
I'm glad you made it. Well, we're gonna take care of everything.
The fate of the family depends on Della Croce accepting Castellano as the new boss. If he refuses, the Gambinos are going to war. In the end, Della Croce accepts Carlo's chosen successor. He's determined to keep peace because war is costly, and business for the Gambinos has never been better.
Okay, there you go. There's a 1.5-minute clip.
Is it? Wow. Wasn't that great, Mike? So, Mike, I am so pleased that I have 4 of my friends here that I spent, I think it was 13 days in a foreign country with. So let's introduce them. We're going to go by order of closest to the Bronx. First off, from the great borough of Queens, New York, and not only because he's from there, but because my beautiful wife comes from Queens, is not only a great actor, but one of the best salesmen for the Entenmann's Cake Company ever. Say hello to #1 New York Yankee fan, Mr. Ralph Bracco, ladies and gentlemen.
What's up, guys?
Hi, Ralph.
Great to be here.
Isn't it nice?
Yeah,
Nice.
it definitely is. Everybody's seen everyone.
Yes. Now we're gonna go from Queens to a borough that I got arrested in 7 times. Okay. And this man not only is a great actor, he's done a few different mob type shows, but he's the father of a beautiful baby boy. Say hello to our good friend Craig Thomas Ravella, ladies and gentlemen. Craig Thomas.
What's up, everybody? Very good.
Congratulations.
Gene, thanks for having me. I'm real excited to be here. So great to see all the boys and catch up with everybody. Thank you for the shout out for my son.
How is Thomas doing?
He's doing great. He's getting big now. 6 years old now. He's 6 years old now.
Unbelievable.
Future screen star.
Put him to
He's the
work.
true star. That's right. That's right.
That's it.
From the great borough of Brooklyn, we head down to Hagerstown, Maryland, with a gentleman who not only played a great part, but is an avid golfer. Say hello to our friend, Mr. Dominic DiNapoli, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, Dom.
Yeah, Dom.
Thanks, guys. It's just great to be here. Thank you. Finally, we get together after all this time. That's great. Thank you.
We get together over the computer. And last but not least is a very seasoned actor. What was that? I didn't hear something. A very seasoned actor, a writer, and a director, but more importantly, a United States military veteran. Say hello to our friend, Mr. Paul Tully, ladies and gentlemen.
Paul Tully.
Roll call.
Thank you.
It's hard to recognize him.
Now, when we saw
Got
Paul,
the WWF belt in the back there.
when we saw Paul in Bogota, Paul, correct me, you were about 280 pounds. Am I correct?
315.
315, and now you are.
210.
Wow.
Let's
Amazing.
give him a big applause, ladies and gentlemen. Let's Mr. Paul.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Thank
Same
you.
weight as me now.
I know.
But you know, you wouldn't have gotten the part if you weren't that big.
Right.
You're right.
You know, there's a funny story if I have 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I told them I weighed 250. They called me. I was with my cousin that day. They say, how much are you weighing now and what's your size? Remember, nothing fit me down there because I had lied. I said, I'm not 250. I'm a double extra large. I was a 4X, 315. Nothing fit me in Colombia. Remember?
That's right. Except for that big wool collar coat that they kept you the whole time. Where DeMeo wouldn't have got caught dead with it.
Actually, real quick, we're having a lot of comments coming in here. A lot of people saying hello. Great comments. And 2 people are saying that your mic is squealing, Gene. I don't know if there's anything you could do on your side there.
I don't know what to do. Having issues, I don't know. My mic is squealing.
It sounds like an echo to me.
Yeah, a little echo, exactly.
Maybe you're being bugged.
Patriot Act.
Is that any better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do you share this on Facebook?
What?
How do you share this on Facebook?
Mike, can you answer that question?
Yeah. Well, Ralph, what you do is you'll see it in Reminiscing with Gene DiNapoli. You'll see it in Gene DiNapoli Kingpin page. You could just click share and then share that to your page or wherever you want to share.
Oh, okay. I think I did that.
You guys know we have listeners from Australia with us today.
Yeah, here we go. Enrico is from Melbourne, Australia, checking in.
Great to see everybody. So we're gonna get right into the questions here, and we're gonna go in order of announcing. So, Ralph.
Yes.
As I said, you were a salesman for many years, and then in 2010, you decided to try your hand at acting. And how long did it take you to get your first role?
Actually, I answered an ad on Craigslist, and it was for a cop. And they called me up. I thought it was a scam, basically. And I went down to where they said to go for the location. It was a closed hospital in Forest Hills, which is part of my old neighborhood. And I knew it was closed, and I thought I was going for like a porn job. But it was like it was like 2 weeks from when I answered the ad, and they called me. I went in there, and a couple of seasoned actors were there. Dan Mortog and Sally Kirkland. So then I knew it was the real deal, and from there I just started acting right after that. I mean, so it was pretty quick. Yeah, I mean, it came up on me out of nowhere, to be honest. I answered the ad basically on a lark, not thinking nothing of it, and that's what started it all. I mean, I was out of work for 2.5 years, so at that point there, I was able to do anything.
Right. You know what? Could everybody
How long ago was that, Ralph?
What?
Could everybody mute their microphones before I ask you? Maybe that's the problem.
Oh, you guys having a problem hearing me?
Well, if you just everybody's reverberating. So everybody take their mics off until I call on you. So Ralph,
Yeah.
you did a lot of TV, but you're also a stage actor, which you've done a few things, but now you're also involved in a play called Bat Boy, which was written by Ray Negron, and you played the great Yankee manager Billy Martin. Can you tell me, how do you study for a part like Billy Martin?
I don't, because it's something I've been watching my whole life. Like when Ray asked me, to me it was a great honor. I mean, to have basically a marriage of something I have a love and a passion for now, acting, with basically my very first love, which is the Yankees and baseball. I didn't have to study. I knew Billy. I knew his mannerisms. I knew what he was about. I knew the type of guy he was, and I just went with it there. And if there was any correction to be made, I asked Ray, just let me know. And he basically said, "There's nothing there."
Right.
Up to date is probably more. It's stage, which I enjoy doing, but I couldn't ask for a better role, man. I mean, definitely.
Right. Now, the funny thing is that Ray has also extended an invitation to me to be in the play, the great Joe Pepitone.
That can happen.
I'm going to be very excited for that. But there's a little anecdote here between me and you, Ralph. We went to Bogota, Colombia, South America. I believe it was May the 18th.
Yeah. That's right.
And a week before that was the Yankee opening game.
Opening day.
And unbeknownst to you and me, we both wound up on the news.
We were standing within 20 feet of each other.
I was within 20 feet of you. So I wound up on Channel 7 News, and then you wound up on Channel 7 News. And then a week later, we're in Bogota. And a year later, they rerun that commercial, and you're sitting on the couch with your wife, Joyce, and you look at the commercial, and then you realize we were 20 feet within each other.
Amazing. Yeah, it was. Listen, we've been basically, for the short amount of time that I really do know you, we felt like we've known each other all our lives, with so many similarities going back to, like you said, with your grandparents growing up in East Harlem, around the block from my grandparents and my father, and then moving out of there and going up to the Bronx and right around the corner from my grandparents again. And then, that whole incident at Yankee Stadium, which was really freaky.
Yeah.
I mean, and then, to get cast in the same show, it's definitely been a good relationship and ride.
Absolutely. And on a personal note, I was so honored to be the ordained minister at your daughter's wedding last year. It was my pleasure to do it. How are the newlywed couple doing?
They're doing good. They got a new little dog, and actually, I was there today. My son-in-law just brought his boat over to the house because they live on the canal. So he's he's one of our New York's finest. You know, he's New York police officer, and which I'm proud of. And they're doing really good, and they really did appreciate you being able to do that. And like I said, when I told my daughter and she asked me, who is that? I said, it's the guy that was down with me in Bogota. I said, it's the Elvis impersonator. She said, right away, she shook her head. She said, I don't want him being Elvis at my wedding. I told her, I said, Alicia, I offered Gene money, but he said he couldn't take it because I'm his friend. He said, but if I have to wear the jumpsuit, then I got to charge you.
If I wear the jumpsuit, I charge.
Yeah, jumpsuit he charged, but which is what's nice about it is it's another tie of our relationship. You know, that brings us a nice bond closer. You know, not on a professional, but more on a personal relationship.
I got to tell you, I've done a few weddings so far, and your daughter was the least problematic.
Oh well, in this year of 2020, what she's gone through, 3 cancellations and really aggravating times, you know, with the halls and stuff like this, not knowing what we're going to do. And then finally they just said, you know what, let's just do this.
You're right.
And that's it. And that's the way it had to be done. This is a crazy year for all of us, and that just added to it.
And before we go to our next guest, I want you to say hello to your wonderful mother and father, who are the golden young age of 93.
Wow. 94.
94, I'm sorry.
94.
94.
Yeah. No, without a doubt.
That's great. So thanks. So put your mic on mute if you don't mind. And now we're going to go to your right underneath me. We're going to go to the center square here at Hollywood Squares. And we're going to talk to our friend Craig, which resides in Flatbush. Now, Craig, you as well took up acting a little bit recently, and you had some success right off the bat. What did you do before you decided to do the acting?
Well, you know, I've done everything, like one of those, what do they say, jack of all trades, master of none, right? I ran a printing press. I worked for companies, anything you can imagine, you know. I actually did. I've really been doing this for quite a while, believe it or not. It's got to be over 20 years now. So I've always did this while I was working full-time jobs, you know. I guess the way I got started was trying to impress a girl. It was my ex-girlfriend at the time was teaching an acting class, and you know, I had no interest in it. I was a typical. Can we curse on this thing? Because I curse a lot.
Sure.
So I was a typical J.O. from Brooklyn, you know, closed-minded idiot, you know. But I was trying to impress her, so I took the acting class, and I actually enjoyed it. You know, it was fun, and I got, you know, I was pretty decent at it from you know, from starting pretty quickly. And she produced a play which was called Savage in Limbo, which is written by this guy John Patrick Shanley, and that was the first play I did. It was an off-Broadway show in Soho at this theater called the Here Theater in Soho. And after that, man, I just got hooked. You know, I got hooked, and after that, I got cast in this show called Tony and Tina's Wedding, which is you know, it was a New York staple. It was around for about 25 years. I got in the show probably halfway through the run, and I did it for about 10 years. And you know, that's where I really caught the bug and kept going. And millions of student films, indie films, rap films like that. And then the show you were talking about, I was lucky enough to get cast in. Was called Making of the Bob New York, which is, you know, kind of like the show that we did, except it was an 8-episode miniseries. So
and you played the fabulous role of Vito Genovese.
Vito Genovese I played. So
the original Tough Guys.
Original Tough Guys, yeah. So yeah, that was like my first really big professional gig, and after that, I signed with a nice agent. And after that, it went all downhill from there. But you know, I'm still around. I'm still hacking away. You know,
as a matter of fact, you are now in a series, which I got to look this up, a recurring star in a series called The Honey Zoomers.
The Honey Zoomers, yeah. So the Honey Zoom is a, you know, it's a really innovative show. It's a YouTube show. It's with a couple of these castmates from this Tony and Tina's wedding I did years ago. The writer's name is Charles Messina. He has a show that will be actually was supposed to go to the Paper Mill Playhouse, which is where shows go before they go to Broadway. And his show is called The Wanderer. And Gene, you probably know all about him. It's about the life of Dion, you know. So it's all about Dion, and so this is the writer of the show, and they came up with this concept. So we shoot the part in our own house, okay, and then they edit it together to make it look like, you know, everybody's in the same room, you know. And to tell you the truth, you know, I heard of it, and I was like, I don't know. And then I watched a couple episodes, and it's great. It's like it's shot in black and white. It's got like the laugh tracks behind it. It's kind of like an old sitcom, and you know, it's loosely based on The Honeymooners because the main character is a bus driver that lives with his sister. And it all takes place during this pandemic, you know. So it's all about the pandemic in New York City and all the crazy shit that we've all been going through, you know.
Crazy shit is right.
Yeah.
You mentioned Dion. I do have a direct connection because my mother's sister's son, my cousin Johnny, married Dion's sister.
Oh, okay.
The prima donna.
Wow.
Around Dion when I was a child.
Yeah.
Times.
Yeah.
So you know what? One of the greats of American rock and roll history.
Yeah. Oh, he's great. Yeah. And I did a reading for this show. It's a musical. You know, I don't sing, but the part that I had was like a, you know, just a straight character part.
Yeah.
Did this big reading in this big out not far from Ralph, out in Long Island in Malloy College. You know, Ralph. There's a big theater out there, and we did a reading for the show, and it got picked up. Like all these producers jumped all over it. Unfortunately, my part got cut out because again, it was a non-singing part, and then they made it into a full-on musical. You know. Right. So, but Dion's you know, Dion helped write the show. You know, so he's totally you know, on board with it. And,
Absolutely.
I look forward to seeing it when it comes out.
Mike, I want you to keep an eye on the comments because for some reason I'm not getting them. So if anybody has any questions, just let us know. All right?
Last one was from before I popped it up here from a Skip Booker. Looking good.
Yeah. So if any questions come up. So now we're going to go to the top right-hand corner to a gentleman who I call him the quiet soul because when we were in Colombia, South America, I don't think he uttered 28 words the whole week. So playing the part of Frank DeChico. Oh, sorry, I never said it. So Ralph played the underboss to John Gotti, to Paul Castellano, Neil Delacroce. Craig played the infamous tough guy turned rat, Sammy the Bull Gravano. Dominic played underboss who met an untimely end named Frank DeChico. So hi, Dom. How's everything doing in Maryland?
You're muted, Don.
You're muted.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Gene. No, everything's going well. But let me tell you, this is a great honor to be back together with all you guys. When you say I was down in Bogota, you know, man, a few words. I didn't. I just watched and I enjoyed the 11 days that we spent there with all you guys. And I tell you, it was kind of hard to, you know, to talk over you guys anyway. So I kept it in the background. But you know, Craig and we worked together in Making the Mob, and I know Ralphie, you were in that one. I didn't work with you exactly, but we must have missed each other. Totally, and you know, it was a great experience working in Bogota. But Gene, I tell you, the minute I met you, it was like it's like I knew you. It's like I knew you for years, and I was like, DiNapoli. You know, I'm from Sicily. He's from DiNapoli. But anyway, we hit it off really well, and I still to this day can't imagine, you know, how something like that actually came together. We here I'm in Western Maryland over here, and some years ago I was coming back from Sicily, And so I got a call from a friend of mine. It says, they're doing a movie over here, some kind of documentary. Are you interested? They're looking for Sicilians. I said, I just got back from Sicily. I was born in Sicily. I'm from Queens. I was from Ozone Park. I says, well, of course. It turns out it was Making of the Mob. And, I told Craig this. I actually tried for the Lucky Luciano, his role.
Right.
And so Barbara McNamara comes back. She says, you're too old for the role of Lucky Luciano, but you're too young to play the old Lucky Luciano, because they were originally going to have the young, the kid Lucky Luciano back in the 1905 scene, and then they were going to have Lucky, which played by Richard Graff, and then later they were going to have that fellow we all know, Rick Borgia, right? Remember Craig? So turns out I didn't get any of the roles,
Right.
but I says I got to be part of this, because it was like it's got Sicily and the mob. It's going to be a blast. So I did get into 11 scenes on that. I mean, you have to look for me, and at the end I'm one of the hitmen,
Right.
But I remember working with Craig, and he played a great Vito Genovese. I mean, it was, and I loved working with him. As a matter of fact, he and we Skyped together to try to get the role for for Kingpin, and I was like, we got to rehearse. I don't know. I mean, and he played Gravano. I played the Chico. And turns out we got it. It was crazy. So yeah.
Now, just before we get off of you, you played in the American West.
Yes.
So were you in the same breathing space as the great Robert Redford?
Robert Redford did not come out here. As a matter of fact, Robert Redford, but I think you might have known Craig, but it was the same Stephen David Entertainment that did Making of the Mob right in West Virginia, the same friggin' area out here, Martinsburg and whatever. They had a great set. They had a saloon. They had a courthouse. I mean, beautiful. They had Indians and horses and the whole bit. But anyway, Robert Redford was out in Utah, so I kept going on set every day. It was great. I was playing a cowboy, background cowboy, but I was having fun with the prostitutes over there. So we were having. I mean, it was all acting. But at the same time, I was hoping to meet Robert Redford, but toward about 2-3 weeks into the production, they shut down and they went out to Utah on his ranch, and they didn't invite me. So I never did get to meet Robert Redford.
Did you ever meet Kevin Spacey? I see you were in House of Cards.
Yes, I worked with Kevin, and I'll tell you what, he was. I didn't like him then. I didn't like him. He was not very. He was not very, very nice guy at the time, and I was like, this is way before all
Was
the
he?
news came out.
Was he a little handsy with you, or?
He was a little pain. I tell you what, he didn't have much of a personality. I mean, on set, I have to tell you, he's a great actor, and that's why I was amazed to find that out about what happened to him. But I mean, as far as his acting abilities, it's great. But off the air, he was a son of a bitch. Nobody liked him. Nobody will want to work with him. Robin Wright, on the other hand, she was terrific. She's the the little blonde executive producer, and she was like 5'2", I think, and she actually ran the show. So it was awesome. So House of Cards was great to work on, and I did. I tell you, I started getting work everywhere. I started doing ID. I was a detective. I was a police officer. I was a security guard. And then later on, I got a friend of mine. He says, they're doing a movie out in Baltimore, and they're looking for a role, Italian guy named Roberto. So I says, hey, what the hell? I'll try it. I never got the role, but I did get a small part in the movie. I was a store clerk. And I met the guys there on that, and then they said, "Hey, we could use somebody as a producer." I said, "Well, I don't know anything about producing." And he said, "Well, just you work with us. And then little by little, I became the location manager. I became the co-producer. I worked with them on a second movie. I became the executive producer. We worked on a third movie, and we just finished our fourth movie called Bad Witch, in which I played Uncle Frederick in the film. It was about a bad witch, and we wound up burning the son of a bitch.
Okay.
So I tell you, I had no idea, and this all started. Me and Craig used to talk about. He says, Dom, he says, they like you, they want you. I says, well, I don't know. I says, we'll see what happens. As an Italian, I could play a Sicilian real easy, but once I started going outside my comfort zone, I realized, yeah, you start to try, you work at it, and little by little, you start to just take on a new personality. You start to work the characters, and I told Gene, he says, I remember, Gene, you says, I don't know if this is for me. I says, wait a minute, Gene, this is for you. And he says, I don't think I'm going to do this. And I says, you're going to do this. I know you're going to do this. And sure enough, look at him. After years, that's all he's been doing now. Right?
You mentioned a few minutes ago that we all hit it off. I have never met 8 or 9 guys of the same business and the same background that treated me with such wonderful thoughts and ideas and help. You guys, you really got me to do this because I was ready to throw in the towel. It was not, I'm an entertainer. I walk on stage for an hour and a half. I do my show. I go home. What we did in South America was unheard of in my life. Sleep all day, work all night.
All night.
Right.
You remember I told you the easy part. You have it easier over all of us, basically, because you're an entertainer, you're a singer. The hardest thing for us to do is get our lines down, to remember the lines. You, as a singer, your memory for the songs, that helps you out with your lines.
I'm going to tell you, if I ever win a major award, all you guys are coming to my party. I'm flying you wherever.
That's it.
You guys gave me the strength and the courage to do what I did. So if I do anything good from Kingpin, you guys deserve a round of applause. From us to yours.
Well, listen, like what you just mentioned about, us spending time and all from the same background, like I tell everybody about that experience. You put 7 Italian guys from New York, because Joe's originally from New York, Paul's originally New York. You put 7 guys of Italian descent in a foreign country for a week and a half. Have a good time.
Yeah.
And we did.
It was great. It was great. And now we go to the bottom right square. Ladies and gentlemen, Nelson Riley, the Charles Nelson Riley of the Kingpin cast, the one and only Mr. Paul Tully. Hello, Paulo. How are you? You're on mute.
I'll unmute him. There you go.
Hi, Paul.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me, man. It's great to see all you guys.
We are so glad that you woke up at the ungodly hour of 5 o'clock in the afternoon to be here with us. Thank you. Now, Paul, in addition to being a wonderful actor, which you did something in one of the scenes which was stuck in everybody's mind, I'll bring that up, which you threw in. You are also a writer and a director and a founder of a wonderful theater company called the Urban Theater Movement in LA, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
And you found that with Maria Bello, I believe, or you worked with Maria Bello?
Yeah, no, I mean, worked with, but I founded it with a woman who's on a show called Gentify Now named Brenda Banda. She was originally from South Central LA. She's a Latina girl, and I had come from New York. We met in acting school, and we started the company together. We wanted to do more urban, edgy type of theater. I mean, we started in LA. We've performed all over the world at this point, Edinburgh, all throughout the States, but we started here.
And it's going well?
Yeah, I mean, now we're shut down, obviously, indefinitely until we see what's going on. But, you know, right before the pandemic, I think Craig came out to see, we did a production called the Motherfucker with the Hat. That was originally done. A friend of mine wrote it. It was done on Broadway. So we did a West Coast uh, production of it right before the pandemic, and that did fantastic. I mean, we got rave reviews from the LA Times, and it was good. It was a good run.
Yeah, I saw the other one, Paul. What was the other one you did? It was the screenplay that you had.
Replica. Oh, you saw mine. Oh,
yes.
yeah, Replica. Yeah, Replica. I wrote. Yeah, okay.
And what's Replica about, Paul?
Replica is about. I started off as a play, and it's been produced multiple times. Now I have a screenplay that we're shopping and meeting with different actors, you know, to play the lead. But it's about a white supremacist, a neo-Nazi, low-level meth dealer who lives in a motel room in the 90s in Hollywood, and he falls in love with an African-American transgender woman. And it takes place over 3 days, and it's just insane. A lot of violence, you know, but it's really a story of redemption and two people falling in love and one man's journey to, you know, finding himself.
Right. Now, being because you mentioned the word transgender,
Sure.
I'm going to reiterate something that happened to us in South America. If you guys remember, we were in a van and we were coming back from a shoot, and it was like 4:30 in the morning. And we pulled up to this one street, and the cops and the town folk were all having a barbecue at 4:30 in the morning. And Paul looked out the window and said, "Wow, look at that girl." And the bus driver said, "What girl?" And Paul said, "The girl in the red dress." He said, "Like I said, what girl?" And we found out that night that 85% of the prostitutes in Colombia are transgender, and the other 10-15% were girls under 15. So we found some discouraging news there. But if you remember, Paul, you were going to open the window up and start catcalling, and the driver said, "Don't open that window, because if they find out we're Americans, they're going to tip over the van and kidnap us."
I thought we were dead, man. I thought we were dead that night.
I don't recall this experience.
I was going to say,
hey, Gene, you remember at one point we couldn't get through and they started rocking the van?
Well, what I was going to say was, luckily we didn't find out the hard way.
Yes.
That we were on like the Boston crew where they were going out and enjoying the locals.
Well,
but
Whitey Bulger and the rest of them.
Yeah, because that block there that we went down to, the people should know. We asked the guy to really show us Bogota, and he showed us. One end of the block actually had the police on there with guns. The other end of it actually had the rest of the element with guns on the same block. And we drove through it, and like you said, the one in the red dress was there, and every other element. The guy says, "Do not open those windows."
But I want to show. Hey, Mike, could you show the picture of me with the Bogota police? Can you show the picture?
There you go.
Guys,
well, I took out. Who did I take out there?
Nobody. Nobody. It was in the shot.
But maybe your cousin.
Do you remember?
I took that picture. Your cousin was there.
My cousin?
Your cousin was there, and I took the picture. Oh, no, Paul's cousin. I got it confused. I'm sorry. I took the picture.
But
yeah.
Do you remember that the police were outside our hotel? Because if they found out there were American actors there, we would have never came home.
Gene, this picture looks like the kind of picture you see right before someone goes missing.
Well, you know what's funny though is you realize, because I realized it years later from watching it, the Netflix show Narcos was only a year old.
Right.
and really wasn't into it then. I only started watching it afterwards, and I'll tell you what, we were thinking while we were down there. That's
Mike,
exactly it.
So, Mike, normally I ask people, can I take a picture with you? I walked right in front of the cops and I went like this because I didn't want to give them any reason to say no.
Right, right.
And then there's another picture.
Yes.
Do you remember when we went to the religious mountain and we took the cable car and I didn't want to go up? Mike, show that picture of me.
Maserati.
Love, Maserati.
Yeah.
Mike, show the picture of me and my furry friend.
And which are your furry friends? Here we go.
Do you remember I was eating my ice cream and the llama stole my ice cream?
That's great.
The best that it's in a handicap spot. What is that handicap llama parking?
Handicap. That was the Dalai Lama. So, Gene, bringing you brought up that part there of the mountain, you should share your story, being that you left ahead of us and decided to take the cab back to the hotel.
What's the story?
What happened to you when you paid the guy?
They hacked my account. Yes, they stole 34. How much was it, Ralph? 34.
$7 grand.
$7 grand. I don't even have $7 grand in my bank account. I need a credit card to pay the cab. My wife calls me up. She goes, "Hun," she goes, "Did you buy any jewelry down there?" I go, "No, why?" She goes, "There's $7,600 out of the account." I go,
Dude, we didn't find out till the next morning when we went down for breakfast, and Gene's sitting downstairs at breakfast. He's got all his credit cards out. He's going through the numbers. He's on the phone with Paulette, and he's going, "No, I didn't spend this," and he's going through everything, and they act quickly because he didn't want to wait for us to take the company bus back.
Sorry. No, I went to go visit a friend of mine, remember?
Oh, yeah, the Elvis with all the books and stuff.
My friend Marco lives in Bogota. And Paul, I was referring to when you killed the guys in the basement and you were eating pizza while you were hacking off the guy's arm.
Right.
But as you shot him, you went like this. You remember that?
I did what?
You brushed your ear.
Right.
And that was a scene stealer.
Thank you.
He's the greatest. But you played the very low-key and very calm Roy DeMeo.
Yes.
Very calm. Very calm.
Very calm. Right. Misunderstood guy.
But yes, he had his sugar imbalance, right?
You know, I don't know if you guys remember, but like on the first night we were there, I'm in the hotel room and I get a message from a friend of mine. He's older than me, but he's from Thompson Street in New York, downtown. That's where I grew up. And he's an actor as well. He's been in movies like The Wanderers. Like, he's old school. He was like acting big in the early 80s. And Roy DeMeo killed his aunt.
Oh,
so he sent me a message, and I get a message from him, and he says, "You're playing that scumbag?" And I think, I said, "Yeah, you mean Roy DeMeo? Yeah, I'm doing this thing." Roy DeMeo killed his aunt.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. It was such a
I know,
awkward conversation to have with him. You know.
So I don't have a lot of pictures from Kingpin, but I think, Mike, we got a picture of me with the suit on, sitting down talking with Craig. Could you bring that picture up?
The one with the suit. I have one here with you have sunglasses on, sitting next to, maybe it was like a casting. How they decided to pick you. I'm going to show this one here. Is this
Well, that's me, and that's the real Angelo Ruggiero.
Right.
As you can see, we look nothing alike. But
Spot on.
And the other one, Dean, I have one of you in handcuffs, it looks like. And I have they loved you.
That one. Me and Craig sitting on the couch. Do you have that one?
No, I have one of, and you, it looks like a band, like a little mariachi band.
Oh, the mariachi band.
There we go.
Oh yeah.
Yes. That was at that,
Remember that.
grocery store.
So,
Remember that grocery store? Yeah.
yeah. So, Mike, we go into the store to buy.
That was great.
We go into the store to buy like soda and buy things for the room, and in walks a 7-piece mariachi band, and they're handing out wine and cheese. Do you remember that?
Yeah, well, the thing with that was it was a promotion for the egg company.
Yeah.
And the marketing girl was a knockout. She was a beautiful Colombian girl. And she was there, and the mariachi band was promoting the eggs. And I told the mariachi band, you see the guy over there? He's an Elvis impersonator. I said, he wants to come up and sing with you. He wants to sing Guadalajara from the movie when Elvis did. And I had to convince him, and Gene didn't want to go up. He didn't, but we forced him to go up, and he ended up singing, which one was it? The Frito Bandito one?
Yeah, that's a
The
great.
people loved him. They
You,
loved him.
you got the hat on. You look like one of them, Gene.
This is crazy shit.
Yeah, that was.
So,
Listen,
if you
like you said, fun times.
Yeah. Do you remember we went to that street and we ate in a restaurant like the first or second night?
Oh yeah, first night.
Then when we got home, 2 days later, they bombed that street.
Yeah,
They bombed that street.
Yeah, that restaurant was great.
Yeah, that was a good restaurant.
Remember when we got the bill? We thought there was something wrong.
It was like $16 a person.
Yeah. Well, we had to figure out some pesos.
We gave the busboy $20 tip, and he asked us, "Can I go home with you?"
Oh, that was a lot of money back then.
For that, yeah.
That's a lot of money in Bogota.
Mike, I just sent you a picture.
Yep,
Can you?
it's gonna come up in a second.
Yeah. So this is a great.
Hey, Paul, what was that girl that worked in the store? I don't know if you remember. She told you what she made.
Yeah. You mean at the shoe store, the night, whatever, the Foot Locker. She made I think it was like 3 something a day.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it was insane. I couldn't believe it.
$3.
How much?
$3 American money. Yeah.
Paul, how much did the girl cost you for the massage up in the room?
You guys are a bunch of ball breakers. You know?
So Mike, listen to this. Paul gets a Colombian masseuse to come to his room, and I time it just right. So when I think he's getting ready to get naked, I bang on the door and I go, "Immigration, immigration!"
I jumped out of that bed or the table so fast, and all I'm thinking is, "Don't arrest me."
Dennis jumped out of his room because he was right across.
That girl laughed so hard when you guys did that. My belly had to be the size of the George Washington Bridge. And I'm covered in hair. I mean, just a disgusting visual. I jumped off the table naked. She didn't know at first. She didn't know what's going on. And these ball breakers, they're laughing. She laughed for 10 minutes while she's massaging me. She kept laughing.
Gene, I have that picture, Gene.
Wait. How about when we found out they put cheese in their teeth?
Oh yeah.
Who put
That
cheese
was weird.
in their teeth?
Yeah, I even forgot what that was called.
Well, agua lamelico or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
But some of the best shots were not even in the show.
Oh, without a doubt.
Mike, show them that shot.
Okay, here it is. I didn't get a chance to resize it. I just got it, but that's a good shot. That's a good picture.
That's a great picture.
Now
that was just while we were sitting and holding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Craig, do you remember what you told me?
What?
When that picture was taken?
I can't remember what I said.
You said to me, If we were home, I'd have been sleeping for 4 hours already.
Yeah.
Hey guys,
a lot of waiting around, man.
yeah, I want to mention our sponsors. We got some sponsors at the bottom of the screen, everybody. So check them out. We got a Sweet Heel CBD oil .com. We got Pure Organic Dry Cleaning and Laundry. The phone numbers at the bottom. We got Dream Destinations Travel. They're the people, friends of mine, that booked me to sing on the cruise ships. And we have Diesel International Mortgages for anybody that wants a refi or maybe buy a house. So the numbers are at the bottom. We got some great sponsors coming in, but you know what? Even though we're all Italian, most of the guys on the shoot, I think Dennis was the only Latino on the shoot. How much time did you guys put into trying to become your character? Even though it was an Italian character, how much time did you devote? Ralph, how much time?
Well, with mine, I had it because I was also playing an older guy. Dela Croce, for the time period they wanted him, was older. So I took time where I was able to. You got to realize there really isn't too much video on Dela Croce because he was the consummate wise guy that kept low key. So I had to do some research on whatever videos were available. I tried to see his mannerisms, and of course, he was a chain smoker. And I think every scene I did down there, I'm smoking. I haven't smoked that much in years. So between the smoking and the Colombian coffee, I was going. But I gave it as much time that I felt comfortable with him. Where I can bring across the type of guy he was. I mean, he was silent, he spoke when, he really wanted to make his point, and he made it directly. And like they said, Dela Croce, a couple of people that I talked to, and one guy in particular I had talked to was the detective Joe Coffey from New York, from the Organized Crime Unit, which I got to know through a friend of mine. And he told me, he said, Dela Croce had probably the most piercing eyes he ever saw in his life, and he didn't have to speak. All he had to do was look at you. So a lot of my scenes, I made sure my eyes did a lot of talking. So, that's basically how I prepared for him.
What about you?
Was that Craig?
Oh, Dominic.
All
right, so Gene, I don't know if I told you, but I grew up in Ozone Park, right near the Bergen Fishing Club. So I used to see John Gotti. I used to see Chico. I used to see all the guys. Gravano. I was a kid. I was a teenager, but they were in our neighborhood. As a matter of fact, the guy who used to cut my hair, Leonardo Scambati, was the same guy that cut John Gotti's hair. So wow. I mean, every day I'd run into these people. They were the good old boys. They were good fellas. So it was very easy to know how to play these guys because I grew up around them. I'm Italian. I'm Sicilian. I speak Sicilian. I used to listen to them. I used to see them walk around in the neighborhood or get in and out of the Lincoln Continentals and zoom off somewhere. So it wasn't a hard stretch. I mean, I kind of knew how Frank DeChico, used to walk. Used to the emphasis and the mannerisms he had. And of course, Gotti was like God over there in Ozone Park. He used to throw parties and bring the Sicilian singers from Italy, and he'd have a 4th of July party. Everything was free. He'd actually have the police barricades close up 101st Avenue, and everybody they loved the guy. Now, obviously, he was a brutal killer too. So but at the same time, he had charisma, and. So when they asked me about the Chico, first I actually put a John Gotti role, and they says no, you look more like the Chico. I said no problem, I can do the Chico too. So it wasn't a stretch really. It wasn't. I didn't feel. I actually felt very comfortable doing. It was just like what I remember when I used to see them go to Romanelli's, the funeral parlor. I'd see all the guys hanging out, going in and coming out, and then of course the FBI was there. So all that shit, all that stuff that happened, I grew up in it. It was the Goodfellas with the Martin Scorsese movie. That was all right there. The Gambino family, it was all right there. So
Now, I think besides myself, because of the body type I had to resemble Angelo, I think one of the most lookalike characters in the show was Craig playing Sammy the Bull. Craig, what about you? What did you do to prepare?
Yeah, you know, that's a good point, Gene. I know for a fact actually because I spoke with a bunch of people as this casting process was going on, and unlike the show that I did, the Making of the Mob show, nobody really looked like the characters. They just kind of this show they wanted more authenticity with this show. You know what I mean? Like I know, I went and I actually read for Whitey Bulger, which I looked nothing like him, But I knew if there was a Sammy the Bull character, that would be the one I was right for because, like you said, I have the blue eyes, but I split the hair back, and I was, I'm a little stocky. I knew that was going to be a good fit for me, So
you mentioned authenticity.
yeah,
However, we found out while shooting the Sparks murder scene that they
yeah,
were not interested in authenticity. Case in point, the car they used.
yeah, right, yeah.
Totally not a Lincoln.
Yes, right, yeah. Well, that was they missed that one, I guess, right?
It was a Dodge.
Yeah. They missed that.
So
They missed that, but I do.
So sometimes they went for the authenticity, and sometimes they just skirted.
Yeah, and I mean, we all also saw that when we went for the audition, we all had 3-page scenes that got whittled down to 2 or 3 words. You know what I mean? I think it was more about the look and just again, we just mentioned all of us in the squares right now. We all kind of grew up around this shit.
Yeah.
So not that you don't have to do any acting, but we kind of understand that world, and I appreciate that they went for that because a lot of times they don't care about that. They just go with whatever, and then they it doesn't look right. But this cast was very, very, very authentic to the real world.
Too bad the Gotti movie wasn't as such. That's another story. Now, getting to Paul. Paul, you were brought up in California, right?
So I originally was born in California and moved to New York as a kid. My father's, we're 5 generations Greenwich Village.
Right.
So I was raised in New York City, but I was originally, my mother's from California.
Right. So your part, how much did you do? Because I think out of all the actors in the show, I think you would be considered the most schooled, maybe is the word, or method, if I'm to be corrected. So what did you do to get yourself into that New York?
Yeah. Thank you. For me, whenever I take on a character, I more am concerned before the look or before, the walk. I'm more concerned with what the character's going through and bringing that authenticity to life first. So with Roy DeMeo, I'm playing a sociopathic, murderous deviant, right? I mean, this guy was dismembered 200 people. So I can't relate to that. I don't know anyone that's dismembered 200 people. So I had to just figure out what was happening in the scenes I'm doing. So the pressure he was under, with the scene where right before I get clipped, the pressure he's under with the cars and the FBI investigations and, Big Paulie's.
The part where you were eating pizza as you were chopping up a body. Was that in the script? Did you read it? Did you throw it in?
I read that in the book. There's a Roy DeMeo. There's a book called Murder Inc. and a Murder Machine. I'm sorry, Murder Machine. I read the book 3 times, and it's the book of Roy DeMeo and his Murder Machine. And they used to dismember bodies at the Gemini Lounge upstairs. They had an apartment, And while they would dismember bodies, Roy DeMeo would like to eat pizzas. He'd order pizzas while they drained the bodies in the bathtub. So I thought that was a good choice to make.
You know, when I got cast as Angelo, which, you know, I was very honored and blessed to do it for my first time out, it kind of like bothered me because Angelo was a buffoon to some people and he was out of shape. So I kind of like took it as an insult that I was the perfect candidate for this. But then when I came home, you know, my wife said to me, well, you really don't look like Elvis Presley either. And you made a living on that. So, you know, and then I read some books that they called him Quack Quack, not only because he talked a lot, but because he had bad feet and he would waddle a little bit when he walked. So when I did the Zoom, the Skype audition with Rick, and I walked, he looked at the associate director and he goes, we found our guy, before I even read the script. So that was kind of a bittersweet acceptance for me. Now, Mike, do me a favor. There's a picture of all of us. Can you show the guys this picture? You remember that, fellas?
Yeah.
Very nice.
That was a great shot.
That was the first day that we walked around and took in the sights, whatever was available to us.
We got Dennis in the shot, and you wearing your Yankee stuff, of course.
Of course.
Of course, you had to. And then, Mike, let's go to the next picture, please.
Which one, Gene? The one with the
other guy, yeah.
There we go.
For those of you that don't know, this is me in the silver sweatsuit, and that's Joe Corvino, who played John Gotti. And
Spot on.
Yeah, we were doing a scene in the alleyway, and Joe took it upon himself to smack me in the face, which I was not expecting. But Joe did a great job. And then the last picture I sent Mike was my favorite drink. That's the tea with the cheese in it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I was very
tasted great.
Do you remember that other stuff they sell? They said the tea that was made out of the cocoa leaves.
Okay.
And we wanted to know, it was really good, and we wanted to know if we can bring it back.
Yeah.
And the guy said, yeah, you can bring it back. And he said, what does it look like? We said, well, that's it there. And what it was like a brown brick. And the last thing you want to be putting in your suitcase coming back from Colombia is a brown brick wrapped up. And we said, no, as good as it was, it wasn't taking a chance of bringing it back.
As good as that tea was, everybody got the Montezuma's revenge from the water.
Me,
you didn't, Gene?
Me and Joe, who played Castellano, you guys got Montezuma's.
I got it the last day, just a little bit.
I didn't get it.
You didn't get it,
what I got.
So, do you guys remember what happened to me on the plane ride home?
No, I don't.
Well,
do you remember the light fixture in the plane fell?
Yes, it wouldn't go right.
And it hit me.
Yeah, that's it.
This was Mike. I got to tell you, Mike, how we came home without being jailed is a story unto itself.
Yeah, it sounds it. It sounds. How long was it? This is 2 weeks or 2 months?
Yeah. 15. And here's the thing is, when we got down there, production let us know, listen, because the whole idea of us being down there is because Colombia got rid of, that was it. They got rid of Escobar. They eradicated the drugs. And they told us, you guys are going to be on your own. There is no fooling around. It's a zero tolerance as far as drugs or anything. You get caught, they ain't doing nothing to get you out. Yeah. So you had to be on your best behavior, and it was. I mean, the city itself, you saw it was Bogota is the capital of Colombia. Yeah, so it was a very large military presence, very large police presence, and private presence of private security. And in the middle of the day, we'd be out there sightseeing, and you see these cops out there with dogs, and all of a sudden, they're going into a house. So we kind of had to be on our best behavior where we couldn't really, you can't get fully loose.
I remember
yeah.
one night, Mike, we got in a cab and we asked the cab driver to take us to the hottest nightclub, and he took us to the Burger King, which the roof turned into a nightclub.
Yeah. I remember that.
And then we went to the casino. Do you remember the casino?
Yeah.
Metal detectors.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the other thing people should know about that is, you want to talk about a city in transition between one day or another. Between Monday and Thursday, once it was like 7 o'clock, it was like the city's under martial law. Yeah. Zero, you don't even see cars on the road. No lights on in the houses. And we're doing all our shoots at night, going through the city, and you're going blocks, and not seeing nobody. But come Thursday night, between Thursday and Sunday night, you can't get the people off the street.
Right.
But the other nights was like completely desolate.
The first night when we went to Wardrobe, it was in that bank. It was in that bank area. And I don't know if you guys remember, there was a knife fight out, right?
Yeah, a knife fight. All those motorcycles. Yeah. It's a crazy city in a way, but was the whole idea of them filming down there because Columbia was wanted to change their image. I mean, that's the first thing we all said was, why are they shooting this thing down in Columbia? How are they going to make it look like New York? But they did a great job.
And one thing I tell everybody is, especially that scene, like the Spark scene, it really does look like Manhattan in the 80s, like the Garment District area. That's what I can compare it to,
So, well, that's their downtown. That's where the government thing is. And what got me was, like, when we go around sometimes, you actually see the remnants of the bullet holes in the, in the buildings.
Yeah.
The city was under siege.
Yeah.
And, it's a booming city now. I mean, they're trying to bring it into what today is. They spent a lot of blood. Like the guy told us, if you were where we were standing out there in part of that area, he says 3 years ago, you right now there'd be bodies on the floor in front of you with blood.
Manhattan's the new Bogota now.
Yeah. You better believe it.
Mike,
but it's coming over right now, Jim.
So guys, see if you remember this. So we're talking about authenticity on the set.
It'll just take a few seconds.
We were on the street, and we all had to wear coats and drink soup and coffee because we were freezing. So we could shoot the scene. Bro, like,
here it goes.
Remember that, guys?
Yeah.
They turned that building into Spark Steakhouse.
Am I the only one that frozen? There it is.
Yeah.
They did a great job.
That was my favorite night of shooting. All that exterior shots were.
Yeah.
I was shooting people, And then you had all the people, like from the neighborhood people actually came and were watching us film it. To me, that was my favorite night on set. I felt the energy.
Night was when we filmed in the drug house, when I had to walk up and down the steps 45 times to bring the money. And I looked at the director, Rick, and I said, do I get double pay for working out?
Yeah.
So we got a question from Howard, who's our travel agent that sponsors us. And he wants to know, what is your career ambition from this point on? Do you stage, film, or TV? So, Ralph, take the shot. Stage, film, or TV, Ralph?
I'm going to be honest, at this time, it's almost a tough toss-up because I always wanted to do stage, and now I've gotten the opportunity to do, I did a stage performance of being Pontius Pilate. For a play called The Jesus Story of a good friend of mine, Frank Holly, that was an off-Broadway thing. And I got to play Pontius Pilate. And then, of course, getting the opportunity with Ray Negron in Bat Boy to portray Billy Martin. I mean, I really enjoy stage. You feel something with the audience, you can bring it out. but I also like the one thing I know with TV or film is I can play, and I love period stuff. And that's where you're going to get the most of it, is that period stuff. But I have, because I really, outside of Listen, Pontius Pilate was a period piece. But it's a toss-up.
Right. Dom?
It really is. I'm set. But I also like the vibe that you get when you're on stage. And it's almost like you can't see the audience. Everybody's in black.
Right.
Because you're there and they're out there. And so that's exciting. So I can go either way. Whatever's going to, really fulfill what I love doing and hopefully get me more on the map.
Great, great. Dom, what about you? Stage, screen, or TV?
Well, so the only stage I ever did was back in college, and I hated it. I thought it just wasn't me. I felt really uncomfortable. I didn't like the fact that you had to do a lot of rehearsing, and it was a lot of work. And to be honest with you, I mean, I tip my hat to anybody who can get up in front of a live audience. It's just nerve-wracking as hell. If you make a mistake, you can't cover it up. So that really kind of leaves the film and television. Now, I've done both. And I'll tell you, if you want to talk about, like, the easier gig, it's got to be television. I mean, television, they pay you, they got the money, they've got the production, they take good care of you. You do a scene or two, and you go home. There's makeup, there's hair, there's everything there for you. They call you, they send you home, they pick you up, they feed you. Everything is taken care of. All you got to do is worry about your scene.
Okay.
And maybe you got to do it 20 times or whatever. You just do your scene.
Gotcha.
Now, film, on the other hand, a lot more expression. Film, you could immerse yourself into it. You get a lot more opportunities to actually act and really live the character. You can get into production. But here's the problem. A lot of work. Film is like, you're going to be working on that production for like months.
Right.
And if you're going to be involved that heavily, if you love it for the passion, which I happen to really love. I've produced 4 films, and I've been in 3 of them at least, as far as main roles. So I enjoy films, but it's so much more hard work than television. I have to say television is king. I mean, you go on, you do a couple of scenes, you go home. It's great. And then you get phone calls up the wazoo of people saying, "Hey, I saw you on television." Because it's a big deal, Yeah.
Craig, what do you think? What is your
well, I think film and TV today are pretty similar, like in the fact where they're doing these shows now that are 15 episodes, 20 episodes. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's almost like getting the opportunity to be in 15 different movies. You know what I'm saying? Right. Again, this is if you have if you're a series regular and you have one of the main parts, let's say. Obviously the camaraderie with the people on the set too, such as you guys. Let's say we did a 10-episode show. You become like brothers after a while. So that's the part I like about the TV. I'm gonna say film though, because here's my reasoning. TV, network TV and HBO, all these type of shows. It's about doing the work, but it's about there's really no collaboration. It's just like, here's your lines, do your lines, say your lines. I don't want to hear nothing else. I'm not going to work with you. This is say exactly what's on the paper, and that's it. Some of the movies you work on, they seem to be a little bit more flexible. Okay, they allow a little bit more improv. Like Scorsese is a perfect example. Okay, all these movies, Gene, you were on the set of The Irishman. All these movies. A lot of that stuff is all off the cuff improv that they kind of worked out on the scene, and that's the environment that I thrive in more. You know what I'm saying? Where they give you the scenario, they give you the script, but you don't have to be married to it. And in the level I'm at in TV, it's the parts I'm getting is they're going to give you 4 or 5 lines, like that. And you say them, and it's a business, man. It's not as creative as I would have thought it to be. It's just go in. They always say, show up on time, know your lines, and that's it, and get out. So it's a business. So like I said, some of the movies that I've done, especially the independent film, you get a lot more leeway. you get a lot more artistic input into it. You know?
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean they're a lot of fun. I mean they're like, it's like giving birth to a baby. You know, when you start a movie and you start it from the end to the middle, it doesn't matter. You could be all over the place, but at the end when you have that red carpet night, you know, where everybody's there viewing it for the first time, it's amazing. It really is.
I'll get back to you, Dom, in a second. Paul, what about you?
Yeah, you know, for me, I'm a stage rat. I mean, I come from a theater background. I've been doing theater for many years. For me, doing theater is MMA, man. It's boxing. When it comes to the craft of acting, it gets no better than gloves off on stage. I mean, in my opinion, the greatest actors in the world are stage actors. Whether you're talking Pacino, Philip Seymour Hoffman, I mean, the list goes on and on of the masters that have done our craft. So stage for me, TV. Look, I don't want to be poor anymore either. I've been a struggling artist a long time. TV pays the bills like no other. You get rich as a series regular. And film, I agree with the other guys. Film is a beautiful thing. You know, depending on the level we're at. I mean, you know, if you're a lead in The Wolf of Wall Street with Scorsese and you're Leo, then film is fucking incredible. You know, you get to play. At my level, you know, I'm busting one line in a film, so I just got to make sure what I do with that 1, 2, 3 lines is turning heads. I appreciate you saying the ear thing. I try to drop things in every project I do that makes somebody remember me. But stage for sure is where I get my rocks up. My agent and manager don't want me doing stage.
Before I get to my next remark, I started singing when I was 14. I did some local theater in my high school. I played Oliver's grandfather. I did Bye Bye Birdie. I did Grease. And then I dropped it. I became a singer for 30 plus years. And then I got into some commercials and some minor parts. And I got to tell you, like Dom had said before, when you're on that stage, it's one take, baby. There is no room for error. So I'm involved in a play right now, a political play that if Broadway opens up, I play a veteran. And I have never, ever had more respect for stage performers as I do now, because the amount of verbiage that goes into a script.
It's a lot.
I would rather go to law school right now or medical school.
Well, that's an extensive play, like we've discussed.
Yes, it's Ralph knows about that.
A lot of scripts in there, but it's rewarding.
Yes,
it's rewarding.
If it gets up on Broadway, if we can cultivate it, the play is called Conversations with an Average Joe. It's about 10 different characters of all walks of life who agree that politicians are no good and the country should be run by the people, which is the original way this country was done. But let's go past that. Dom and Ralph and myself, we have something in common. We were all on the set of what was supposed to be the last great mob movies of our century. I'm talking about The Irishman. What do you think? Is it ranked among the top 5, or did it lose its appeal?
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Michael,
I think the complaint that a lot of people have is there was some great actors, some great performances. Let's say, like there was some of the performances by Pacino were amazing. I thought, okay, but then there was the whole thing with De Niro just looking way too old. And, no, I can't believe it was a Scorsese film that he let when De Niro was kicking the guy. Right? How did they leave that in there?
Well, first of all, I'm looking not as an artistic.
Okay.
Story-wise.
Yeah, well, it was 3.5 hours long.
Well, I'm going to be honest. Like I've told people, I think that story there, because of everything that surrounded Hoffa all these years, everybody was only knew of Hoffa as the union guy, and he disappeared. So I think you needed a lot of that background type of story to give you the idea of really the different dynamics and his relationship on the different fronts. and how he built the union and the support he got and how he was looked up to, but also comes down to the guys you're dealing with. So there's a lot of wheels that over these years, and I felt it could have been maybe 20 minutes shorter. And I know Scorsese had a lot more, and he just couldn't do it. But in the top five, I don't know. I mean, we got a bunch of good top five, but for entertaining, as far as bringing a mob story out there, I mean, he could have definitely really went further on all the killings, but then it would have been a 5-hour movie.
Right.
You know what, you guys, when you think about the length, right? See, the length really shouldn't be a problem. I just watched about 14 episodes of Breaking Bad in a row, okay? And I didn't even get up to go to the bathroom. That's how good that show is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's how good the writing is. Better Call Saul, another one I started watching. Yeah. And I can go hours without stopping.
Craig, when you have episodes, you have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And then you can go to sleep and you can wake up the next day.
Yeah.
When you're sitting through a 3.5-hour movie and some of the parts were irrelevant to the movie, I think that's why they didn't get the recognition. And plus, let's face it, when you're Martin Scorsese and you start, you're up here, there's only one way to go, and that's down. But
I would point out some of the terrific performances by a couple of the actors that we got to see shine, like Catherine Narducci, who we got to see do some great work. But I thought she really came out of her shell to a new level in this, including Joe Pesci.
Ray Romano.
Ridiculous.
Okay.
I thought his simplicity.
Paul, let me stop you there. I know Catherine a little bit, but and this is no slur on her talent. Where did she come out of her comfort box? She's an Italian girl from the Bronx.
Yeah, wow.
An Italian girl from Philly.
No, I didn't say comfort box. I said she came out of, she escalated to a new level of her craft.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, she was given the opportunity. But yeah. But when you have Ray Romano, who's basically a Long Island Italian, playing a lawyer, it makes sense. Give me Robert De Niro playing Wyatt Earp, or give me Catherine Narducci playing Cleopatra, and see the scope of
that's where Pacino separates himself from everybody else.
I was going to say, guys, the best guy in that movie was
Gene DiNapoli.
Steven. Exactly. What's his name, guys? His name is Steven something. He played the guy, the mob guy, but the guy's an English actor. But he played.
I auditioned for that.
You know what I'm talking about? What was the part? He played
Al Capone.
Provenzano, right? Was that?
Yeah.
He was in Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah. He played Capone.
Yeah, he played Capone.
He was amazing, and he's an Englishman, and he played this guy. I was blown away by his performance.
Well, he's a great actor. When I worked on Boardwalk, it wasn't until I think it might have been the second season in that when they brought Capone in, when we had a light moment on set in between of a big scene, and he started talking in his regular limey
English. Yeah.
A lot of us didn't know he was English because he speaks Italian. And on set, he's staying in character. He's a great actor.
I auditioned for The Irishman for that role. And
really?
Lewis, they called me from Ellen Lewis's office, and they said, this was an incredible audition. Ellen Lewis is very pleased. When I found out who was actually up for the role, I was like,
yeah.
He's phenomenal.
Right. Hey, Mike, did you get that last picture?
I didn't.
Get it ready. So I don't know about Dom and Ralph, but I was on that shoot for many, many days. I was in a few scenes.
I got 2 days.
Yeah, I was on it for about 17 or 18, I think, over the course of 3 weeks. But this is the proof in the pudding for me. Mike, put it up.
Okay, 1 second. It's still coming.
And it was the greatest experience of my life to be in a room with 6 of the wonderful actors and the greatest director of our ethnicity and our generation. But if anybody asks, this is Gene DiNapoli's big scene in The Irishman.
It's still coming over.
He's still coming.
It's a big it's a big one. So
and they're actually going to make a new category for the best cranium in a movie, and this is where I excel. So, Paul, if you ever have a back of the head scene, this is what you have to look at and do your due diligence on this scene. Mike, what are we waiting for?
it's for some reason. Oh, here it goes. It was attached. It was attached separate.
Watch this, everybody out there in social media.
Here we go. There he is.
So this is Joe Pesci.
I'm moving my mouse, Gene. So where are we? Where?
Joe Pesci. See Joe Pesci, bottom left?
Yes.
Okay.
That's your head?
Okay, go next to Joe Pesci. That's Ray Romano.
Okay.
Okay, go to the next table.
Right.
The guy with the back of his head.
Gene, you nailed that.
I was Wait,
hey, Gene, I was in the same room with you.
Made it in there.
Wait, in case you don't recognize.
My scene got cut. You saw the back. I was just walking in one.
You know what?
I was
told
5 pews behind De Niro in the wedding scene. So I told all my friends, I'm in the wedding scene. I'm in the wedding scene.
You can see it.
Everybody watches the movie and they go, "Where the hell were you?"
So, so I was in the baptism scene, right? And they made me stand behind De Niro on the altar. And the assistant director comes over with Scorsese and says to me, "Oh, no, you got to sit down." And I said, "Why?" He said, "You're not ugly enough." So that's kind of a compliment.
That is a compliment.
Martin Scorsese.
Not ugly enough.
What got me is when I had gone in for my fitting, the shooting day, the schedules, they finally got me on. It was actually the end. It was the last week. And I think they changed the schedule because De Niro shot the second to last day because he had to be done. He had to do something else along with Bobby Cannavale. And I was supposed to work in the scene, which was the last shooting scenes was when Albert Anastasia got shot and killed, which was ironic, which was I was hoping because I was born an hour after Anastasia got shot.
Wow.
And I was like, if I could have only worked in the scene of the same day, and I felt like if somehow De Niro could find that out, he'd put me in that scene knowing that's my birthday. That's when I was born. And an hour after this guy got clipped. But, yeah, Gene, my scene got shot. I mean, all you saw was my back, and that was it. But you got to be part of the movie.
Somebody told me on the set that my job is not to be on screen. My job is to do my part. You know, I had a speaking part, and we had a few speaking parts in Kingpin, which I thought I really nailed, especially when the judge got cut. Yeah. That's another story. But, guys, we're at the end of our wonderful episode here, and I can't tell you what it means to me to get together again with you guys. Of course, you can share this on all your timelines, and we'll get thousands of views. So going one by one, if you don't mind, Bogota, Colombia, was it not one of the greatest experiences of your life? And give your website so our followers could find it. Ralph, Bogota, Colombia, what do you think?
Bogota, as far as on my acting perspective, it was the best acting experience I've had because we actually we're all pretty much, you say, rookies. We've all had our share of moments and stuff, but we actually felt like real Hollywood actors where we were going on location, a different country, and we got treated pretty special. And just the association with all the guys, you take away from that, and it was a great project. And Bogota will always be special to me. And, you know, we just hopefully we do more things. Listen, before I go, I just got to mention, we ever get out of this COVID thing, everyone's got to come down. Murdered by the Mob, longest running dinner theater show in New York, 26 straight years.
Great.
And I want everybody to come down so we can do it. I'm the stage manager on that, and I play a bunch of characters, but I miss, and that's stage, and I miss that.
Where is that, Ralph? Where is that?
We do that for health. We do it right in the heart of Manhattan on 38th and Broadway or 47th and 7th Avenue, and hopefully that shit's still there in another 6 months.
Well, now that you mentioned that on my podcast without asking me, it's going to cost you 2 dinner tickets now.
Oh, I'll pass it up to the guys that run it.
So what's your website, Ralph?
My website is www.ralphbrocco.com.
Wonderful. Let's give Ralph Bronco a big round of applause, everybody.
And go Yanks.
Yeah.
They're losing now.
Dom, Bogota. What's your favorite?
Bogota. Definitely surreal. It was probably the most surreal thing I've ever done. Being in Bogota, as far as the experience with you guys was absolutely fabulous. But landing and having attack dogs sniffing out your luggage, and then getting into a car with this crazy guy driving me through the city of Bogota, and looking out and seeing the kind of crime that was going on. The first day I says, I'll be happy to live through this episode, this whole, and to this day I was like, even when I came back, I landed in the airport in D.C. and the custom agent says, "Do you have anything to declare?" And I says, "I declare that I will never go back to Bogota again." But I will say, I have to tell you though, the people there are absolutely special. The friends that we made, the wardrobe ladies, the production people, the production assistants, they're loving people. They're really special people. Yep. So maybe I would go back to Bogota for that reason.
Great. Dom, what's your website if anybody wants to get in touch with you?
So I don't have a website, but as soon as I get one, I'll let you know.
Mercurio, everybody. That's it.
Thank you, guys.
Craig Thomas Ravella.
Yeah, baby. So Bogota, Colombia. Let me tell you, no BS. One of the best experiences of my life. Besides going to the Grand Canyon in Canada, it was the first time I've ever been out of the country. So it was an amazing experience. Getting to do what you love, getting to just for a production to fly you out to a different country to do what you love for 2 weeks and meet some great guys. It was a great experience, man. I wouldn't trade it for the world. A little scary at times, but I thought the hotel was going to blow up on the last night. I smoked gas, and I went down and I told the front desk, I asked them to call the fire department, and they said, we don't have a fire department. So, at that time, it was time to go, but I loved it, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
So how do people get in touch with you, Craig?
You can catch me on Instagram, Craig Thomas Ravella, and same thing on Facebook, Craig Thomas Ravella.
Big round of applause, Craig Thomas Ravella, everybody.
Thank you, Gene. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Tell Thomas I said hello, okay?
I will, buddy.
Paul, you, of course, are going to put that at one of the top of your list vacations, right?
Oh, absolutely. I agree with everybody. It was one of those great experiences of my lifetime. I have traveled around a lot in the world and was in the Navy and sailed around, but the experience with you guys was top notch. I'll never forget the first day I met you guys. I came down to the restaurant in the hotel, and you guys were sitting. It was like the first day of school. You guys were sitting there like a bunch of wise guys. And I was so nervous, and you were like, "Hey, who are you playing?" And I said, "Oh, Roy DeMeo." And then Gene goes, "Bit heavy for Roy DeMeo, huh?" And you said, "Oh, you're a bit heavy for Roy DeMeo, huh? He was half your size." So that was my first day. I thought to myself, "Holy shit, I'm gonna be terrible in this role." But hanging out with you guys was unbelievable. I made friendships. Look, I got to work with Craig. I wrote a short film that we shot in New York. Craig came out, him and Dennis did an amazing job. That short film has helped me just in my writing, getting my writing agent and manager. And so, I feel like our relationships will continue, and hopefully we get to all work with each other again. And the people of Bogota were great. I thought the people on set everything was just a beautiful experience to me. Very surreal.
Absolutely. Paul, how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah. On Instagram, P Tully UTM. Facebook is Paul Tully, or you could go to my website, urbantheatermovement.com. Yeah.
Beautiful. Paul Tully, everybody. Let's give a big round of applause to my producer, Mike. Thumbs up. Great first show. Everybody, please share this on your timelines. Check out our sponsors. If you call our sponsors, please mention that Gene DiNapoli told you to call. If you order from the CBD, sweetheal.com, in the next 24 hours, you get an extra special gift and 20% off. Guys, thank you for making my first legitimate acting job in my career a wonderful experience.
Yes, sir.
I just want to say one thing, being he's here on the screen. I got to admit, I'm really proud of Paul because he had an agenda to do something, and watching him all this time for the last 2 years, all through this, really, he had a goal set, and he went through it, and thumbs up to you, man.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Definitely training was there. You look great.
No joke, man.
Everybody, keep in touch. Share Reminiscing with Gene DiNapoli, because the more people that view this, the more shot you got to get to work. Next week, we're taking a break for Labor Day, but we come back on September the 14th with the great doo-wop singer Larry Chance of the group The Earls. Stay tuned. Mike, to take us out. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care, guys.